Yes, good old TJ.
Konnichiwa, this is watching INCOG. Back on our reaction video, and today because we're back on ANINEWS channel. Yes, this video is called "How Strong Is Hercules?" Hercules Face Day Night Berserker's abilities and noble phantasms. So you already know the geographics before we can get into this. Like I say, original video. This is by ANINEWS. You guys can go ahead and go follow him. First link in the description below will be to ANINEWS channel. Like I say, do not own any of this. This is from ANINEWS himself. And yeah, you guys wanted me to react to this. Is this and the other part here, because he has two different videos of Hercules on his channel, so you guys want me to react to both. So I'm gonna do this one first. I think this is part one, and I'm gonna do the other one. That'll be the second part of it. So if you guys want me to actually react to any videos that you have in mind, like I say, leave in the comments down below, or go to Twitter and use the hashtag NitoReacts. And yeah, guys, so without further ado, let's get right into this, guys. Oh, like, subscribe to the video, hit the bell notification, make sure you click all, and go ahead and go follow TikTok as well. But yeah, anyway, guys, let's get right into this. So play.
How strong is Heracles? A pretty good question, considering he's known as the god of strength. Though I can't really give you an exact answer. But we can answer it indirectly by looking at all the things that makes him such a powerful servant. One that damn near made Gilgamesh piss his pants. So let's finish up this servant profile by looking at all the abilities and noble phantasms that go into making Heracles the not so easy to kill demigod berserker.
The demigod berserker.
It's been a while since I last
Boy, Hercules gotta be like,
so let's start with a
15
trait
feet.
that's common amongst all of them. The Mad Enhancement class skill is something that originates from their legend and identifies them as the Berserker class. In Heracles' case, it was when he hulked out on his music teacher and beat him to death with a lyre. Also potentially attributed to when Hera induced madness on him and caused him to kill his family. It was these
wait, so I'm gonna pause. So hold on. My man went ballistic on his music teacher and killed him with whatever that musical instrument is. That thing looked really small. How do you beat somebody with that to kill them? How? Like, I know he had demigod and everything, but how? Let me know in the comments down below. Alrighty, so play.
Moments of rage that classify Heracles into the Berserker class and give him this Mad Enhancement skill.
Which goes with all berserkers. It's like default skill.
Classes, though. He did master pretty much every weapon, and as such, would easily qualify as any of the other classes.
Right.
Except for Caster. And just in case you're wondering, Archer is an insanely powerful variant, and probably his best fit.
We did a video about that one a long time ago.
Essentially what this does is it gives an all-around buff to the servant, but in exchange for their sanity or sense of reason. The entire impact that it has is dependent on the Berserker. Like in Frankenstein's case, she...
Alright, so I'm gonna pause again. I know I just paused. Try not to pause too much. So if you guys can get stronger or your abilities like enhanced, right? Like you just they're like they elevated. Would you give up your sanity, or what was the other one he says? Your sanity, it was like something else. I forgot what it was. What was it? It was your sanity and reason. Yeah. Would you give up your sanity and your reason to get stronger? Just let me know. Like, I'm really curious about that. Will you give up your sanity and your reason just to get stronger? All right. So, play.
And come to a mutual understanding with her master, but can't quite communicate. Whereas a berserker like Spartacus, he can communicate, but he has pretty much no sense of reason and acts on his own will no matter what. Now, with Heracles, yeah, his sanity has almost been fully taken away, resulting in a typical berserker master pairing of master saying to do this, do that, and hoping that the servant will follow the orders. Only after months of harsh training deep in the woods of the Einsburn Wasteyard, combined with a focused effort by Ilya to suppress the Mad Enhancement, was Heracles able to eventually reach a level of understanding with her, and become this somewhat loyal servant to her. The next
That's a
factor that are
crazy
known
training
to boost
regimen.
Heracles' general strength is his fame, as well as cultural sphere, both stemming from the recognition that his legend produces. Cultural sphere grants a general buff to servants that are summoned closer to where their legend took place. So Vlad being in Romania, or
So basically
Cinderlanus
like a
in
home field
the
advantage
province of
type
Babylon,
thing,
granted both servants a significant boost of strength.
right?
In Heracles'
Just based off
case,
just
it would be
you
Europe.
being home field
Fame
advantage,
also
basically.
works in a similar
Where you
way,
born.
but instead of location, it grants
Or
buffs
close to
based
it.
on reputation. And Heracles, or Hercules, being one of the most well-known legends across the globe, places him with one of, if not the highest fame ranking, with apparently only one or two others who are known to be even remotely close. These factors had already brought his skills and abilities to a pretty high level, but when combined with Mad Enhancement, it actually earned him the title of the strongest servant to be summoned in that Holy Grail War. Though this also came at the cost of
Strongest,
his
you say?
technical prowess, and even some of his noble phantasms. You see, the Einsteins wanted raw power, and they would rather have a mindless brute that could be tamed over a master swordsman with a set of heroic morals that could potentially conflict with their end goal. Something that they just didn't want to leave to chance given the events of the previous Holy Grail War. Heracles also lost his bravery skill, birthed from his legend of being able to single-handedly defeat many hellish monsters, and it would have acted as a resistance towards any mentally impairing abilities such as confusion or charm. It also would have given him greater strength in hand-to-hand combat, though all now useless as it's overwritten by the Mad Enhancement. Now, what is by
So is
far
Mad
the
Enhancement
most
just
damaging
better than
blow to
bravery?
being a Berserker is the loss of his most reliable attack in Noble Phantasm. It's called 9 Lives, shooting the 100 heads. It's more of a technique than it is a weapon, and it's born from his second labor against the Lernaean Hydra, a serpentine water monster with 9 heads where if one was cut off, 2 more would then grow back. In the actual legend, he was able to defeat the Hydra by cauterizing the decapitated necks so that the heads wouldn't grow back. But in the Fate version, he slew the creature in a slightly more badass method. He picked up his bow, readied his arrows, and then fired them with such great speed and precision that he finished off all 100 heads of the Hydra at the same time.
Ooh,
Thus the
okay.
name shooting the 100 heads. He then developed this technique into a transferable style that could be
Spamming them
emulated
arrows.
through various abilities with other weapons, meaning it's a noble phantasm that is easily adaptable, and it takes on different forms depending on the weapon that he's using and the target that he's using it against. Allow me to elaborate on that a little bit. This single noble phantasm encompasses a great many different forms, all representing the same technique and with the single purpose of eliminating the target, no matter how many times it resurrects. It could be used with a bow, a shield, an axe, a spear, it doesn't matter. Every weapon he's mastered is capable of the technique, a technique so strong that it is said to bring out the
Is that
maximum
his ultra
power
version
of
on
any
MGL?
weapon. Whatever weapon
Wonder.
it was used with becomes the greatest weapon of that type, giving Heracles a wide array of weapons that could become stronger than any other servants. And because it's such an adaptable technique, the level of power it can output is dependent on the situation, meaning its power can range from a single target anti-unit ability consisting of 9 consecutive strikes to an anti-army attack of 100 strikes, and even further beyond.
Anti-army.
Once again, it all depends on the weapon and the target. We know all of this, yet we never did get the chance to see it in Fate's Day Night. However, there have been instances in other series where it was used, most notably in Prisma Ilia, when Gilgamesh uses the prototype version of it as an anti-phantasmal beast ability that shoots 9 dragon-like homing laser attacks. So I'm sure you can imagine the variability with respect to the use of 9 lives. Now, the reason that Berserker Heracles wasn't able to use it was due to a lack of motor skills. It simply wasn't in his physical ability to pull off an attack that literally strikes at god speed.
Wow.
Though that's not quite the case for him
That's
in the Fate
trash.
Grand Order arcade game. Please bring it to PS4. Moving on to the more applicable aspects of Heracles, specifically the ones from Fate's Day Night,
That's trash.
his Berserker
Having a
related
Godspeed
limitations
ability you can't
make
even
it so that
use.
he has to defeat his enemy in physical combat, which when it's actually a one-on-one fight with only physical combat involved, he'd easily win every single time. His speed and power dwarfs any other, leaving barely any openings for an opponent to even call as a weakness. He's a fully offensive tank that will rarely, if ever, go on the defensive. I mean, he doesn't really have to. After all, he does have his second noble phantasm, God Hand, the 12 labors, gifts of immortality from the gods themselves for completing 12 godlike tasks, an ability that has no form, but rather is imbued into Heracles himself. And what it does is upon taking what would be lethal damage, his body transforms itself into a lead-like suit of armor, as it reshapes itself back to normal and heals any wounds. Resurrection is then taken place alongside nullification of any incoming attack, as well as gained immunity from any previously received attacks. Once again, let's elaborate on this. God Hand provides Heracles with 12 lives, one for each of his completed labors, and it revives him through layered resurrection magic. Though the way that he's revived is similar to that of a time reversal regeneration, or something to that effect. Then, the length of time that it takes for him to fully regenerate depends on the type of damage that he receives, though usually he heals fairly quickly. Not only that, but each life he has is prone to a specific amount of damage before it is lost. Think of it like stamina mode in Super Smash Bros. Imagine Heracles starts with 300 health and 12 stocks. Every damage-capable attack would chunk away at that health bit by bit, but also that health is constantly trying to regenerate back to a full 300. So if you're not doing more damage than he is regenerating, then you're not winning that fight, especially if you have to repeat the process 12 times and completely eliminate that.
Hold up, I'm gonna pause for the last time, so wait. Okay. And is what you're telling me, is that my man's got, basically when you hurt him, he has, his body becomes a suit of armor. Okay, that's one. Then he nullifies any damage, right? Then he regenerates while that nullifying that damage. So basically what you're telling me is he has a passive healing ability while you're fighting him. So if you're weak or your moves are doing nothing to Hercules, you're telling me that you do 2 damage, he's gonna basically heal 5, so he's plus 3? Is that what we're saying?
Even taking a stock from him. But that's not to say that you can't hit him hard enough to take multiple stocks at once.
Alright, play.
Say Gilgamesh comes in and he uses Enkidu to inflict 600 damage, just like that. Then Heracles would actually lose 2 lives, because he just took enough damage to exceed the damage capacity of 2 lives. But here's the catch. No 2 attacks will be effective on him twice in a row. A new method of attack must be used to take the next life, due to the effects of God Hand's revival. Basically, any ability or attack that was used against him to kill him will be nullified after his resurrection. It doesn't matter what attack it was. If it killed him with it, then it won't kill him again. Furthermore, any attacks that even damage him, regardless of whether it killed him or not, will give him resistance towards the next attack of that same kind. He's continuously adapting to his situation and growing stronger with every encounter. And to top it all off, God Hand also has the passive trait to negate the damage of any attack that is B rank or lower. Meaning that in order for this man to even be damaged, he has to be struck by an A rank attack or noble phantasm, which some servants don't even have. Like, if you're Assassin, then you might as well just erase yourself from the Holy Grail War, because it's literally impossible for you to beat Heracles, let alone damage him. Oh, and guess what? If you don't take all 12 lives in the same fight, and then let Heracles get away, if his master has enough magical energy, even his stock of lives can be regenerated with enough time. It takes approximately 3 days for 2 lives to be restored. So let's be honest, the only person who was even capable of taking on Heracles in Fate's Day Night was Gilgamesh.
How do you beat him?
His massed collection of noble phantasms and A-rank weapons
beat
gave
him
him more than enough options to eliminate Heracles 12 times over. I'm sure there's more than a few items in his Gate of Babylon that could also probably take all 12 lives at once. Feel free to let me know in the comments if such a weapon even exists. Now, even with all this, we're still not done with Berserker yet. We haven't even talked about his main weapon, which actually isn't that important. It's not a noble phantasm like most other servant weapons are. It's just an axe sword made out of rock, carved from the Einsburn family's temple and used as the catalyst to summon Berserker. So, though it's not a noble phantasm, I'm sure you don't need me to remind you of the lethality of a giant rock weapon being swung at your face at Godspeed. Then he has false insight, or the eye of the mind natural talent. Not to be confused with the true version, which can be learned by humans. The false version is something that cannot be learned by mere mortals.
No,
In
he
general,
fine. He
it
fine,
allows a
guys. He
servant
fine.
to
He
sense
just
danger based on their
he just
past
taking the nap.
experiences,
That's all
and
it
they've
was.
pretty much honed
That
this
was
talent
just
and
tomato
made it
juice.
as their
That
sixth
wasn't
sense.
crazy. That
In
wasn't crazy.
Heracles' case, even with the
Some
mana
Kool-Aid
enhancement
juice, you know?
messing with his head,
Ketchup.
he's still
Yeah, ketchup.
able to
Yeah, that's what it was,
competently
ketchup.
analyze the opponent and his surroundings, which allows him to determine the best course of action in a fight. It's an instinct that allows him to easily read the opponent and fight with greater awareness. And lastly, he has what's called battle continuation, a skill that allows him to sustain himself in a fight even after taking mortal wounds. Gilgamesh actually experienced this firsthand after almost getting smashed back to Babylon. You see, even after Heracles had lost all his lives, he still willed himself to maintain his physical body by resisting the laws of the world that were trying to remove him from existence.
Don't do
as
my
a
guy
living
Gil like
serpent.
that, Annie. Don't do him
He
like
should have
that.
faded away while chained up by Enkidu, but somehow he remained, standing long enough for Ilya to reach him, allowing her to gain a final sense of comfort that he hadn't yet been defeated. All in all though, Heracles is quite strong, quite possibly the strongest on a physical level. And unless you've got an array of techniques and weapons that are A rank and above, as well as are capable
Can you
of
imagine
killing
that
him
being
12 times
his
over,
servant,
then
though? This
you
little
definitely
girl.
don't want to be fighting him. And take this
Such
in,
an adorable girl.
this isn't even his strongest form. Archer Heracles has even more noble phantasms, including God Hand, so you can imagine how a ranged version of Heracles with 12 additional noble phantasms and 12 spare lives would do in a Holy Grail war. Maybe one day I'll talk about him. But for now, that's how strong Berserker Heracles is. Hopefully now you've got a better idea on where he ranks compared to everyone else. Anyway, now that he's done, we can move on to the next.
Alright,
be
man, we're
sure to
gonna end
vote
off
in the-
right there. How strong is Hercules from Fate State Night abilities and no Phantasm, man. That's nuts, man. This dude got built-in armor, built-in nullification, built-in stock regeneration, built-in health regeneration. Why you're you know what? We're gonna end off right there. Let's get to part 2. Boy, Kyle, like, subscribe on the video, comment down below, share video, share cool stuff, hit the bell notification, make sure you click all, turn on notice, follow the TikTok page. I'm out. Peace.